Shirley Ryder show. You're with Shirley Ryder, and today we have on the show the lovely Kimmy Ward, singer-songwriter, and chef for me tonight with a steak, and her father, Bill Ward.
Oh.
Bill, of course, you're in the 4/4s.
Started off in the 4/4s. There was 5 of us actually, initially.
Is that because...
That's because there were 4 before I joined.
Okay.
And then, but it ended up only 4 of us.
Yeah.
Eventually. When we were talking.
So, of course, you had Morris Greer at one stage on the drums. Was he there originally, or did he come later?
He came later, yeah. We went to Auckland, and Trevor Spitz, who was our drummer, had a coffee lounge called the Inferno in Tauranga.
Yep.
And he shifted to Auckland with us when we went to Auckland, and the coffee lounge wasn't doing very well being managed. So when we made the decision to go to England, he decided he wouldn't go, and that's when Morris joined us.
Oh, okay.
So we were lucky to find Morris.
Yeah,
I mean,
Morris.
Trevor was great,
Yeah.
but you know.
Morris, of course, from the Human Instinct.
Yeah.
So the coffee lounge, because I hadn't actually heard of that place in Tauranga, obviously doesn't exist now. I don't suppose.
No, it's long gone.
Long gone.
It needs to be reinvented.
It's where they're building. It's where they're building all that huge big farmers building now.
Oh,
It was
right.
underneath that, and there was
okay.
there was
Just in
another
town.
lounge above that Trevor also
Okay.
opened up when he had the bigger events, and
Yeah.
he called it Club 54.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Now,
that's a while ago.
Of course, you guys co-wrote you and another guy in the band co-wrote a song about.
Yeah,
I
about the
presume
coffee
that's what
lounge,
it's
yeah.
about.
It's funny, we were up in the Club 54 actually, and I think it was Ray Wolf was meant to be coming down,
Okay.
and we were just mucking around playing a few chords, and I was playing a few chords on the guitar, and Dave started whistling this song. I thought, that's quite good, we should write some words to it one day. We never did, but we recorded it as it was, and it became number 1 on the parade.
I wonder.
In between the Beatles doing all their
Yeah.
thing, it was only for 1 week, but still made it number 1.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You can't get much better than that, eh? Yeah. I thought the whistling was awesome actually.
Yeah,
I
it
did
was,
too.
Yeah, really clever, right?
Yeah. I can't whistle to save
No,
myself.
I can't. Only a cat. The cat.
Yeah.
I whistle the cat, but that's about it.
Whistle the cat.
It comes sometimes. But yes, I was telling you before because my son just happened to be listening when I was playing the song today, and he actually poked his head up and said, "What's that song?"
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
And my son's 21, and he said, "I like
I
that."
should re-release it.
It was just before the Beatles came in, and the Shadows were very big.
Yeah.
And we thought we were the best Shadows band in the world,
Well,
because
it's got that
everybody who
feel.
played this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a nice song, yeah. And I haven't played it for how many years now? Because I can't whistle.
I think I've got somewhere, actually Eden will have it, the vinyl 45 of
wow.
that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Time Slips Away is on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple of their little 45s.
And of course, we're in for a treat tonight because Kimmy and Bill are going to do a little bit of a song for us later on, which
I'll
I'll
do a sing-along.
Yeah.
I've actually been playing guitar a bit lately, so trying to relearn my songs. So
awesome. Do you want to tell us something about, because Kimmy's a singer-songwriter as well? Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Actually, you opened up for us on the studio, so I probably should have opened for you years ago. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. But do you want to tell us something about the song that you guys are going to be singing?
Well, it's Dad's song.
That he wrote?
Yeah,
Awesome.
and it's very applicable to what's going on in the world at the moment, I
Okay.
think. But you wrote that, Dad, in 2011, eh?
Yeah.
When they had
No, before that I wrote it in
wow.
2002, after the 9/11 thing. You know, when all the planes went into the trade centre and that, and I wrote it after that, and actually, but it's still applicable now.
It's very applicable now.
Yeah.
Well, should we have a listen to that now?
What's the world coming to? What's the world coming to? People killed in the name of their Lord. Makes you wonder, should you believe in God? the world coming to? What's the world coming to? Like those never-ending waves rolling in, seems there's never-ending for and sea. I'd like to do something, but what can one man do? We all felt the same peace would come through. You feel so helpless, makes you wanna cry. All we can do is try, 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 try. What's the world coming to? Got a message what the world should do. Make love, make music, don't make war. Surely that's not what we're here for. I'd like to do something, but what can one man do? We all felt the same peace would come through. You feel so helpless, makes you wanna cry. All we can do is try, 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 try. What's the world coming to? Got a message what the world should do. Make love, make music, don't make war. Surely that's not what we're here for. Make love, make music, but don't make war. Surely that's not what we're here for.
So how did the name the 4/4s come?
Well, from the timing, you know, you see on the start of the music thing, 4/4, 3/4, or 15/4,
I thought it was because there were four of
So
them.
did I. Except there were
because
5.
It was because originally there was 4.
Yeah.
There was Colin Menifee, Rob Smith, Trevor
Yeah.
Spitz, and the Mike Horn.
Yes, yeah.
And the rock and roll thing was just starting to come in.
Well, send you
And none
some
of them sang at the time. They
Yeah.
did things like Billy Vaughan, they had 2 saxes and Billy
Yeah.
Vaughan, and all that sort of stuff. And they wanted a singer, and I used to go out with and get on the booze with Mike's older brother, Mike.
Yeah.
Not Mike, John.
Mike's
And one day he crashed his van,
Oh,
and we spent the morning fixing it up because
Yeah.
it was a work van. It was just a wooden old Bradford, you know, with wooden. We fixed it up. It looked like it had been hurt, but not broken. But anyway, he said to me, "Oh, the guys having to practice this afternoon, and they want to sing. Why don't you come around and sing some songs?" Because I had a guitar by that stage and used to sing at parties, and so I went round and sang a couple of songs. Can't even remember what they were. And they said, "Oh, yeah, do you want to join the band?" I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Well, you need to get an electric guitar." Oh, okay.
Did you know how to play at that point?
Oh yeah, I knew how to play. I wasn't, you know, I was still learning. I'm still learning all these years later.
yeah, always learning.
But I'd started off with the ukulele, and then a friend of mine, they used to own the bike shop across from where McDonald's is now, and he was a boxer, but actually somebody owed him some money, and they gave him this guitar,
Yep.
and he didn't want it, so I gave him £20 for it. Acoustic guitar, and I couldn't play a guitar, but I knew how to tune a ukulele, so I tuned it, but took the 2 bottom strings
Yeah.
off, tuned it like a ukulele so I could play the ukulele chords, you know. And we're at a party one night out at Mangatapu with some married friend of mine, Dominic, he says, "Oh, you fellas, where's the other 2 strings of your guitar, bro? Put them on, I'll show you how to play." And he showed me a few chords, and that's where it all started.
Oh, wow. And of course, moving on, and you then ended up with Human Instinct. With Morris Greer. What can you tell us about? You had a little story.
Well, like I was saying earlier, Trevor had the Inferno Coffee Lounge in Tauranga, and it was going down, and so he decided not to go to England when the band, as the 4/4s, decided to go. So Frank had seen this band from, I forget what they were called, they were from Palmerston North, playing in Auckland, and they're just up for the weekend, and he's a really, really good drummer. So we got in touch with him, and we supposedly held auditions for drums. I think we had 2 other guys come along, but we knew it was going to be Morris. And of course he's a stand-up drummer, pink hair.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's a good
And a good singer too, so we were straight away.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to join the band? Oh yeah, okay. So he probably played with us for probably 8 or 9 months before we went to England, and we thought 4/4s was a bit of a hackneyed name. And we'd got a gig on the fare sky, an Italian ship, to go to England, and we got a 10% reduction in our fare if we played 3 nights a week.
Okay.
And we got that bored, we played every night of the week.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do, because there's a lot of water out there, a lot of water. And anyway, I think we threw names into a hat, and Human Instinct sounded good, so we decided, right, Human Instinct.
It is a good name.
Yeah.
So the name Human Instinct didn't really come from anything, it was just drawn out of a hat?
It was just drawn out of a hat, basically, yeah.
I wondered if it comes something to do with biology or...
It's
Who came up with the name?
I can't remember. I think it might have been Dave Hartstone actually came up with the name.
Right.
And there's another whole story there. I could write a book or a film about him. But anyway, we've drawn a line and moved on from there. But no, so we went to England and we arrived there at the end of August, and we never worked until Christmas Day. And we were getting pretty broke because I had a wife and a child. And we got this job in a little club in Soho called the Zebra Club. And we auditioned and got a manager, and about 3 weeks before, and he said, "Oh, do you want to play? You guys play on Christmas Day?" "Yeah, we'll play any day." So we got this job in the Zebra Club, and I think the band outnumbered the audience on the night, and there was only 4 of us. But the guy was that happy that he had a band that he said, "Well, can you play here tomorrow night?" And the next day the thing was packed.
Wow.
And because we were, although it was sex, drugs and rock and roll, we were always on time, we were always tidy, we were always did as good a job, and we always kept 3 drinks behind the audience. And that's still a rule that we keep to.
Yeah.
And after that we started getting work here, there and everywhere, and we played with a lot of well-known bands.
Yeah.
In fact, you could,
who did you play with?
I've got a page I could give you, but we didn't play with Hendrix, although we saw him live.
Yep.
Didn't play with the Beatles, so I met Paul McCartney at a club we opened in London.
What was he like?
He was friendly. He was going with Jane Asher at the time. I think the club was called Grandma's or something. It was just brand new. And we got the job to open, and they invited a lot of celebrities. Mick Jagger was there, but we never got to talk to him. And a lot of the well-known musos were there. And but we played with. It's easier to say who we didn't play with.
But didn't you open for the Rolling Stones?
We opened for the Rolling Stones here in New Zealand before we went.
I heard that from Morris.
Yeah.
He ran into Mick Jagger or something and come flying, he told me.
Yeah. Because
it's an interesting story. You can catch that one on one of the old interviews.
Yeah, I got some things there because the first gig was in Wellington, in the old Wellington Town Hall, and they were big at the time, and the crowds were just going berserk, and the security was so tight. We never met them. We met them when we came off stage and they went on. That was it. And then the next gig was in Auckland, and our driver missed the plane, didn't he? All our gear went up by road overnight, and he missed the plane. And so we flew to Gisborne, then we flew to Wanganui, then we flew to Rotorua, then we flew to Auckland, and the gig was starting about an hour and a half later. And so we basically, in the clothes we were, I ended up in the theatre, the ATS Centre, I think it was. But it was played with the Rolling Stones. How many people can say that?
Man.
Not many, man.
And so, and we got a good hearing too. We had a fan club and everything. And,
so what year would that have been?
This has been 1965.
Okay, because
it was,
when did they break on? It was the 60s, wasn't it, when they would have been breaking on the scene, I guess?
Oh yeah. No, they started about 63, 64.
Right.
And they were big. They were sort of the antithesis, opposite to the Beatles, in that they were supposedly rough and long-haired and blues, but in fact they were very, very similar. It's just that they picked a different genre of music, more than blues. In fact, they brought, and they're still going, they brought the world to all the good blues musicians that are still going, made the world aware of them. And you've got to hand it to them for that, and they're still doing it, so you've got to hand it to them. Here's to you, Mick,
Yep. Oh, get my drink.
It's pretty special times in England, But we had some interesting stories, and I was thinking of one the other night.
Yep.
We got a gig in Reading. We'd never seen Cream. And it was one of the first big outdoor festivals, and they're having it in the grounds of Windsor Castle.
Yep.
And Cream were going to be on at 2:30 in the afternoon. We thought, let's go early and play and go in and watch Cream. we were just blown away by the
Wow.
musicality.
Yeah.
They played one song and it lasted for 45 minutes. They came on stage, they didn't sing much, but they played all this lovely blues stuff, and then Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce went off stage and Clapton just played on and played on and played on. Then Jack Bruce came on, picked up his brake, and away he went, and Clapton walked off, and old Jack Bruce played for about 10 minutes on his own. Then Ginger Baker comes off and it's got the big double drum. Boom, 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 boom. Jack Bruce walks on. He played about a 10 or 15 minute solo. Then they all come back together. We were just blown away by their musicality, because we was all sort of self-taught, whereas most of the good bands and musicians have been through schools and learning things and that. Anyway, we're sitting in the van afterwards, getting all ready to go off to Reading, and Dave said, didn't think much of their bloody harmonies. They didn't sing many harmonies, and we were good at harmonies.
Yeah.
And we perked up after that.
Yeah.
But no, that was quite a special moment, you know, because we realised that, right, they were totally different to us, but we still had a place there, you know.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of work. We played 5-6 days a week for the 20 months we were there, you know. We only really came home because I had an English passport, because Dad was English, and Dave was married to an English girl, so he had an English passport. But there were rules in those days for people from New Zealand or anywhere that you could only work for 18 months, then you had to go. And we started getting chased by Inland Rev because we were paying money, and so we decided to come home and
But Humanistic became quite big in Germany, didn't they?
oh, they came big, yeah, because after I left, like, that's another whole story. When we got home, we packed all our gear up and put it on the boat, and we did one gig in Auckland at the Galaxy downtown on a Sunday showcase. In fact, we went to see the guy that ran it, and said, how much you fellas want to play? Because we were popular, we kept up with our fan base, you know, and how much you fellas want? We want $200. There's no way I'm paying any band, not even Howard Morrison Quartet, $200 to play for a Sunday showcase. Oh, okay, well, what's the story then? He said, well, I'll split the door with you. So there was only 3 of us, of course, because Dave didn't come back, and we were using borrowed amplifiers. And the place was packed, and we made $175 each. And Phil Warren, who ran it, was quite happy to pay it, because he said the place was packed. He says, I made $1, you made $1, we're all happy.
So what would that sort of
That was the last gig
in today's money, what would that
on
be?
today's
roughly?
money, $175, that'd be, well,
Roughly.
it'd be probably $600 or $800 each.
Too bad.
These days, I mean, this is
But better
just
than
the early
lunch.
days. This is 1968, you know, so it's serious money. It's the biggest fee we ever earned. And we earned good money in England, but that was the biggest single fee.
It's alright.
And there was only 3 of us.
Yeah.
But
that's
then of course our gear didn't arrive back, because Dave, as it turned out, shit on us, to put it crudely. We've been together 10 or 12 years as a band, and gone professional and done all the stuff together, never had a harsh word at all, and he ended up with all our gear.
It's a shame, isn't it, when
Yeah,
bands
yeah.
actually
When they
like-
break up.
I think that really impacted on you, because you didn't actually do a lot of music when we were kids.
It was one of the hardest decisions I ever made, to leave the band, and I did,
That is
because
the
I
best
thought, if somebody that we worked with, never had a hard word, written songs, have done all these
you
hard things and
trusted,
good things with, can pinch all your bloody gear, if that's music, I'm out of it.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, I had a few friends who got me back into it, and your mum actually bought me that Suzuki acoustic guitar, which is in storage at the moment, and I pick it up now and again, and I thought, no, music's still there, it's got to be there.
Yeah.
And I got back into it. And,
it is, eh?
yeah, and an interesting story about how we got back into it. I've into cars, I love cars.
I know we're gonna
Always
get to
have. I left school, so I only went to work so I could earn money to buy a
Yeah, we
car.
grew up on the Merry Drake Street.
Yeah, but anyway, I got into hot rodding when I got back after the music thing, and we were at an event down in Palmerston North, and the band on the night were punk. They weren't only punk band, they were punk, they were bloody useless. So they basically got booed off stage, because hot rodders like rock and roll, you know, rock and roll. And Owen Campbell, who's the managing director or art director of the Hot Rod magazine at the time, we knew each other because he'd been in a band called the Raiders in Auckland. We weren't friends, but we knew each other. He came over and said, they said we can use our gear. Remember any of those old rock and roll songs? Well, I said, oh, yeah, a few, I suppose, yeah. So we got up there at about 10:30, played about 2:30 in the morning, and it was great.
Yeah.
and that really got me back into it. And then about a fortnight later, Owen rings me up and says, "We got a gig." And I says, "What do you mean we got a gig? We haven't got a bloody band." Because funny enough, the drummer who got up with us is also a car man, and he still drums with me today, Craig Houston.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we started doing gigs. We just did them for years, for about 15 years or so, just for hot rod clubs.
Yeah.
And then Doug, who's my best friend, moved to Wellington, and the band sort of broke up, and that was it. And the Beach album started 21 years later. Noddy from the Beach album. I played there with Al Dawson's band one year, just sat and did a few songs. He said, "Why did you get the hot rod band back together?" And I said, "Oh, I don't think Owen wants to do it." And I rung up Owen a couple of days later, said, "Nah, Benny, nah." You know. Very talented guy in every way, artistically and musically, very talented. And so I thought I'll go backwards way. And so I rung up Doug and said, "Hey, you interested in playing at the Beach Shop?" "Oh yeah, what? We get paid?" "Yeah, we get paid. We get accommodation and free beer and food." "Well, I'm there." So then I rung Owen up and said, "Doug's keen to play if you are." And I said, "Oh, I suppose I better come along then." And away we went. And the band, with a few changes, is still playing there 21 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was special. It was funny that we hadn't played together for 21 years. And we're up on the stage, we looked at jeez, what are we going to play? "Oh, Johnny be good." Okay. As soon as we got into it, it was just like it never stopped. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. It's special, you know, the music is special. It's kept me sane,
Yeah.
particularly now.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you. So, do you eat the steak like that? So anyway, I like to capture people how they are.
Yeah, and this is how we are. No, we're not really.
Look, the dogs.
We like a wine in the evening.
Yeah, why not?
And good company.
Yeah.
Anyway, actually, before we move on to the next topic, which is the cars, we've got to get to the cars. I was just wanted to ask you, how did you not how did you get into music, but what influenced you to get into music when you were very young? Like, who were your heroes before you became an actual musician in a band?
We always had music in the house. We had a piano. Dad could sing, Mum couldn't. But her brother, Uncle Stan, used to come across before he was married and play the piano. We'd all sit around and sing songs.
Yeah.
And he also had a squeeze box, piano accordion, we call it squeeze box. And because we had a piano there, I'd ding dong 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 dong, whatever. So Mum decided, "Oh, you might have some music, you should have some piano lessons." So there was we lived up Belk Road, which is just about 8 kilometres away. And there was a Mrs. Melville lived about a mile down the road, about this high, a piano teacher. So Mum said, "Oh, do you want to take piano?" I said, "Oh yeah, okay." So go down there, and I plucked around a little bit the first time, and it was quite good. And then she gave me some lessons to do, and typical boy, went home and went out, run around in the paddock instead of go back next time. Sort of got it, and a big ruler. I'm trying to learn piano, and she's going to break all my fingers. So that happened twice. I went to 3 lessons altogether, and then one lesson day I'd just get my little music box and go down and climb over the neighbour's paddock and go chasing rabbits or whatever. Of course, Mum found out. Well, that was the end of my musical career. But she must have known that there was something there, because I still muck around on the piano even though I couldn't play it. And one Christmas I got a ukulele for Christmas, and as soon as I got that, I was away basically.
How old were you?
Oh, I was probably about 11, I suppose.
Yeah.
And down the track, I got a banjo ukulele, which is the same but louder. And that was good at parties. And then, like I said before, I got the guitar and I'm still learning, but love it.
Still learning.
Just got something.
He's 85.
The thing is, they're so portable. You can take it anywhere and sit out in the middle of nowhere. You don't need a laptop. You don't need power. You just need guitar. And I love
3 chords
and
and the truth.
Yeah, and I've got I'm down from 24 to 16 at the moment. But that's my favourite acoustic.
Oh wow!
It's an old.
Show that one.
It was going to go to the dump. And when we were in England, of course, I still got it. I had 1964 Stratocaster that I was born here,
Yeah.
bought here. Collector's item now. It's probably worth over 20,000.
Yeah.
Platinum player would be worth about another 100 to that. But I also had a nice 12-string Rickenbacker guitar, and I loved the sound of the Rickenbacker. And we used to do a few of the Birds tunes, nice ringy,
Yeah.
and it was forever changing guitars, and it didn't really work. And so I ended up, wasn't the first guitar I built. I built a couple here before we went to England, but I built a twin neck guitar. And it was early in the scene and we couldn't afford a case, so I built it so it fit in the original case, and I splayed the necks. And I've given it to my son, Darius, now, and
Must be really quite.
and it was good because you flick a switch and you got the lovely 12-string sound. Flick another switch and you get the 6-string sound.
Oh,
And,
wow, that's awesome.
And you know, people like Led Zeppelin used them, the big clumsy
I know the ones,
bloody
yeah.
things. You know, before I built mine, I tried one of those, and Dane Electro used to do one there, and they were the same big, clumsy, heavy, bloody things. And mine's the same size body as a Stratocaster, 2 necks, and they splay out so you can get at them easy enough.
Yeah.
That's
And,
cool.
and it's a cool guitar. It's a
Didn't it
neat
get
guitar.
stolen at one point?
Pardon?
Didn't it get stolen?
Yeah, I lent it to Gary, my son, and it got stolen. This is down in Wakatani, and they must have realised it was so bloody rare because it's the only one like it I've ever seen.
Jeez.
That was found behind the music shop, but it's the only one like it in the world. I did make a copy, but I made it slightly different so it's not identical.
Wow,
But the
that's
original
pretty
one is the original, and I gave it to my son.
Okay, so of course you love cars and you've got a beautiful red car out there. Take a look at this. This is the red Mustang. So is this something that you've purchased recently?
Very recently, yeah.
Yep.
I came into some money
Oh, that's good.
through a situation that I wouldn't have wanted, but I had a bit of money, and I thought my old Falcon was getting a little bit tired and scratchy, so I thought I'll buy this Mustang, and I love it. And
How fast have you been in it?
I've been over 100 mile an hour on it.
He's out in it every
Wow.
Once or
day.
twice.
Oh, just whip out and grab some milk.
Do the dogs
Oh,
go
just
in it?
whip out and grab another bottle of milk.
And the dogs allowed in?
My
His
dog
dog
is in
is,
it, yes,
yeah.
yes, and
She goes with him.
she's a special way of getting in, and I wipe the back seat down now and again, particularly if it's been wet. But no, it's just a car, but
Yeah.
it's quite special. I love it. It's a cold, real cold, cold coffee morning. It's cold, cold coffee morning. And it's only slightly better than it won't be afternoon. Oh, I came home late last night. It was early morning light. Day was dawning. Yeah, I came home late last night. It was early morning light. Day was dawning. Oh, she's gone. Yeah, she's gone on this cold coffee morning. Yeah, she's gone, finally gone, this cold coffee morning. It's cold, real cold, cold coffee morning. It's cold, cold coffee morning. And it's only slightly better than it won't be afternoon. Yeah, I came home late last night. It was early morning light. Day was dawning. Yeah, I'd had a real good night, but early morning light it was dying. Oh, she's gone, yeah, she's gone. Let's go up in the morning. Yeah, she's gone, finally gone. This cold coffee morning. Oh, it's cold, yeah, it's cold, real cold. Oh, it's cold, real cold. But it's only slightly better than a warm beer afternoon. Yeah, it's only slightly better than a warm beer afternoon.
Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, no, our
It's
pleasure.
awesome. Thank you very much for coming
Oh,
as
it's always
well.
a pleasure.
Yeah. Next time.